there this morning and said, you know what, I'm going to brush every tooth in my mouth except for this one. Is that not fucking ridiculous? So how come when you exercise, you don't make an effort to touch every place in your body? Well, the yogis didn't want you to look pretty, they wanted you to look ugly. So when they developed an exercise, they didn't develop an exercise for beauty, they developed an exercise for wellness. And when you develop something for wellness, you got to take care of it all. So you have all...
Jessica Walsh with Downdog Update, and today I am interviewing Bryan Kest. I just finished his master class at Symmetry Yoga Studio in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And boy, was it just an amazing class. The energy was awesome. And I think the thing that a lot of your students like is your ability to bring in humor into your classes. And even you said during the class that you brought up comedians and how they talk about real things, and the fact that it's true is what makes them funny. And that's pretty much what you do too, is you tell it like it is, you tell the truth, and that is what people find funny, and I think partially what draws people to you. Do you have any particular story that you would be willing to share with us about a situation traveling? Because as a world-renowned yoga teacher, you spend, I'm sure, a great deal of time traveling, and even in your classes, you told us so many great stories. Maybe there's one you could share with us.
Pertaining to what? A story for? I mean, I can't even tell you how many classes I've taught in how many different countries and cities. Lots of things have went down. I mean, I've had people stand up and scream at me, tell me I'm full of shit, and I've had people leave love letters, in my shoes. So I mean, a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm not quite sure what kind of story you want, but
those are some interesting things in themselves, actually. And you mentioned some amazing stories in class too. And I guess one of the things that really stood out to me was the practice that you're talking to us about. And I think I'm curious, as many people are, your own practice, and maybe when you're traveling, what kind of limits you're pushing for yourself, or what you're working to improve personally, where you see yourself pushing your boundaries and improving or working on the shit you say that you're dealing with.
Yeah, well, when I travel, I try to just maintain my practice, and it's a little bit harder when you travel. So, I do it where I can do it. Like, I was lucky enough to have some time today because I got into Scranton early, so I got to really have a nice practice in my hotel room. But, really, I say this in a way, and, sometimes it comes off wrong. But I mean it. I say that, I know everything, and it sounds a little arrogant, but I feel like I know everything. It's like everything I read now about yoga, it all says the same thing in different ways. And I think the easy thing to do is to know it, and the hard thing is to live what you know. Like, I know the 10 Commandments, but, living them's a whole different story, right?
Yeah.
So, my yoga practice is about, practicing, strengthening that stuff, practicing strengthening what I know, practicing strengthening being present, practicing strengthening quieting down my mind, practicing strengthening gratitude and compassion, calmness, gentleness, humility, everything I talked about in here. So now I get on the floor and I practice, and I don't have any goals, and I don't really push any boundaries, so to speak. I just, I show up on my mat and I practice, and due to that, it improves, it gets better, it gets stronger. And that's my practice. It's basically exactly what you guys did here.
Very interesting. Now, one of the things you also said today in class was you talked a little bit about the different styles of yoga, and I'm just curious what your take on the yoga community is and what kind of presence that has for yoga teachers. Like, I guess a specific question would be, do you hang out with like Sean Cord? Like, what's the yoga community like? I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that.
That's a good question. I'm pretty much, me and Sean, she was a student of mine, and she started off in my classes, and, we developed a really nice friendship. For a while, when we lived close to each other, and, we had enough in common, we were friends. And I'm very friendly with most of the people in the yoga community, you know, like, and when we go to these events like conferences or festivals, and which is actually my favorite thing about the events is like, you know, to reconnect with these people that, but, you know, a lot of us are off doing our things like traveling and teaching, and, you know, we live in different cities now, you know, we have kids now, and, you know, I'm pretty much, you know, kind of a loner. I kind of, you know, just hang to myself. I do my own thing, and, so I don't really see a lot of the people in the yoga community until they show up in my class and take my class. And most of them eventually do come back and take a class, and I get a hug and we get to catch up, or I see them on the road. But it's a, you know, it's a great community. It's a great community of people who are, you know, I think really trying hard to walk their talk and to, you know, to make this a more harmonious place to be, this planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We can all resonate with that. And I personally actually have come to your yoga studio in Santa Monica. I first took your class in Vermont at one of the Wanderlust festivals some years ago, and it was just such a great experience. And actually, when I came to your yoga studio in Santa Monica after the class, I walked up to you and I said, I want to be a yoga teacher. What can you tell me? And so I'm just curious if you could share some of that insight with people that are currently looking to be a yoga teacher or just in the incubation stages.
What did I say to you? Did I say anything to you?
Yeah, you did. You said, start teaching. Take a training and start teaching.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you need to take a training, although they help because, you know, any bit of information is helpful, and you're going to get information at trainings. But, you know, I mean, up till a very short time ago, like maybe 10, 15 years, there's no such thing as trainings, right? So it's a new concept, and it's not necessary, although it can be helpful. So, you know, I feel like, you know, you practice yoga for a reason, and that is because it makes you feel good, right? And so, you know, you practice something that makes you feel good, and, you know, you have the right to share what makes you feel good. So that's probably why I said just start teaching, you know, just start showing people what you're doing that makes you feel good. Why can't you pass on a good thing? So there doesn't have to be any, I'm a teacher, or, you know, any kind of like bureaucracy around it. It can just be you sharing something, and it really develops organically, you know, and if you are helping people feel good, they're going to come back. And they're going to bring friends. And then pretty soon, you know, you got a whole crowd of people in front. That's what I did. You know, I never took a teacher's training. You know, this was just something that happened really organically. Actually, someone asked me to show them what I do, and I showed them, and they liked it, and, you know, and it just built from there. It was really trippy. So, yeah, I don't think you really need to do anything other than practice. The biggest thing is your practice. Like, get on that yoga mat and practice. Otherwise, you're kind of hypocritical, and, you know, you don't have a lot of substance if you're not practicing, you know, because you don't really know what you're talking about because you're not doing it. So practice, and then if you like what you're doing, share it. Yeah. And you can do it anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a yoga studio. It can be in a, you know, it can be in a chiropractor's office. It can be at a martial arts studio. It could be at a dance studio. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be traditional, you know, and just grow. I mean, I've just left, actually, a dance studio where I taught at the last 20 years. It wasn't a yoga studio, it was a dance studio, but they had some open space, and I rented it from them. And that's where I've been the last 20 years. So, you know, it can happen in a lot of different ways. I would not want people to limit themselves.
That's good information. Did you hear that Philadelphia just decriminalized marijuana?
No, that's amazing. Really, that's really amazing. I mean, I know about Colorado and Washington, and, you know, and California for the medical use, and a lot of states for the medical use, but now Philadelphia, like, legal or just for medical use?
Well, it decriminalized it so that way if they find you with a certain amount, you only get a $25 fine, or if they catch you smoking it, it'll just be a $100 fine. So no more.
Well, that's a good step.
Taking people to jail and that kind of thing.
That's a great
it's
step.
a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I really think it is. And whether you're pro drugs or not, it's not about that. You know, I talk a lot about THC and marijuana in my class, and I actually make people think that I partake actually more than I do, because I'm trying to create something else, which is maybe a judgmental environment where then I can come back at the end of the class and say, hey, did you fall into that trap? You know, but I mean, the truth is, at least in my opinion, is you know, that it's better that we people are going to get it no matter what, so why give the money to drug lords? You know, it's that simple. They're going to get it no matter what. So why give the money to drug lords? Why not give the money to Americans and tax them on it and make money on it? And with that money that you make, you can open, you know, drug treatment centers, and now it's not at the cost of the people, right? Now the people who are using it are actually paying for it because it's coming out of the tax dollars that they're being charged when they buy this stuff. So, you know, it's just, you know, illegalizing drugs or criminalizing drugs is, any drug to me doesn't make sense, because you're not stopping anybody from getting it. They're getting it anyways.
Yeah.
But I think it's great that they're doing that. It's a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you are the owner of Power Yoga in Santa Monica?
Santa Monica Power Yoga.
Santa Monica Power Yoga. And how
Yes.
many studios do you have there?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
Two studio rooms inside of one store.
Okay. And you currently, more recently, have set up an online option for people that can't come to Santa Monica and take your classes, or to the other locations that you are offering. And how is that going?
It's a passion of mine. It's going amazing.
Okay.
I've always wanted to do this ever since I saw the computer and saw that potential, you know, but it took a little while because, you know, it takes a certain level of bandwidth to stream content like that. So it took like 12 or 15 years for the technology to catch up to the idea. But once it did, man, I jumped on it.
Yeah.
And because it just makes sense, you know, I mean, you got to bring this to people, you know, you got to bring it to people. It's the best way to facilitate what we're trying to accomplish with yoga in general. You got to get it to people. And you got to make it convenient for people, you know, and with traffic and driving and all this stuff that's going on, and family and schedules and all that. I mean, to pop in something at your house and be able to do it, and yet to do it and hear everybody moaning and groaning because it's a live class, you know, I mean, these classes are recorded live. You know, you feel like you're there. And, you know, I think the best thing is to be in a studio, but if you can't be, then, and it's way more affordable. I mean, if you did it 3 times a week, it's costing you like 25 cents or 50 cents a class, you know, as opposed to maybe anywhere from $60 to $75.
Yeah. And your classes, when I came in Santa Monica, it was donation based. Is that still the case?
Yes, we do not charge for yoga in our studio. We do donation yoga, yes.
That's awesome. I can personally say that was a great help for someone going out to the West Coast and trying to make it and being able to experience yoga. And I think that's wonderful to allow people the access to it that otherwise might not have that. And if people want to learn more or check out your online videos or find you, where is the best way?
They can just go to poweryoga.com. You know, that has, you know, that's the entrance to the portal for the downloading the videos or streaming the videos. It gives people more information on Power Yoga, because Power Yoga is not what it sounds. You know, and I really want to change the name, but, you know, I haven't thought of a better name yet, and that name is kind of stuck with me.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't want to alienate anybody with a name, and sometimes I feel like people think Power Yoga is too hard for me, but it's not. It's really for anybody and everybody, as you saw tonight. We didn't do any crazy stuff, but we challenged everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and there were some grandmas in here, and there was some spring chickens, like yourself, you know? So we had a huge variety. Everybody walked out with a big smile. It works. So I want people to understand really what this is, and that, yeah, and all the information on our studios there, and maybe even a little information on the donation thing, which is really important to me.
And what is, allowing people
Just provides it for everybody. You know, yoga, it's not a business. I never looked at it as a business, you know. I mean, I look at it as, you know, you can't turn people away because they don't have money, you know, especially if you have room in your studio, you know. It can't be about money. I mean, I know we all need money to survive, but it can't be about money. So when you do it on donation, you get money, but it's not about money. You're giving instead of taking.
Yeah.
You know, because I just offer yoga. That's all. And if people want to put some money in the donation box, that's their business. You know, I'm not looking at the box. I just, when everybody's gone, I open the box. And if there's enough there for me to feed my family, then I'm happy, you know?
Yeah.
And there seems to always be. So, but this way I'm not saying, hey, you can do yoga if you give me, you know? So, you know, it's a good vibe. I think people appreciate it. Nothing wrong with charging for yoga if that's what you're into. A lot of people charge for yoga and then they give back in other ways. So, you know, everybody's got to do what feels right to them, and this is what feels right to me.
It's true, and it's like you say in class, everybody has their own path. There's millions of different people and millions of different ways of doing things.
No doubt, no doubt.
Your way is definitely inspiring, though.
Awesome. I'm glad I can inspire you.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, sister. It's really good to meet you.
Good to meet you, too.